I'm Stormy Sparks. I'm an extension entomologist with the University of Georgia. I work primarily with vegetables, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the issues we have in vegetables. One of the more challenging issues we face is Diamondback moth. I've been dealing with this pest for over 30 years now, and insecticide resistance in Diamondback moth is a huge issue. We've probably got 10 or more different modes of action that we can potentially use against Diamondback moth, and we have some resistance to every mode of action in Georgia, which is kind of unique. It makes it a real challenge. You can see here on the damage on the plants, when you get large populations, you get a lot of holes in the plant, and even just a few holes. They don't eat that much material, but a few holes makes it unmarketable. So one of the things we're dealing with here is trying to maintain control with a limited number of modes of action. So we work with the growers, we work with populations in individual fields, we collect those populations, we test them against multiple modes of action and try and find out what mode of action, what product will work best in a given field. Something that would be great for us if we could do it would be a host-free period, and that's one of the challenges of being in South Georgia, is we can grow produce year-round. That allows pests to develop year-round. We try to control them year-round. We select for resistance year-round, so we end up with very severe problems because of the part of the country we're in. It's a great area to grow vegetables, but it's also a very challenging area to grow vegetables. All right, what we're looking at here are pepper weevils and jalapeno peppers. And basically what happens in peppers is a weevil such as this will go in. The adult lays an egg. It bores a hole with its mouth parts, turns around, lays an egg in the pod, then seals it. And then the grub develops within the pod. And then it becomes an adult in the pod and then chews its way out. So pepper weevil, are one of the reasons they're very difficult to control, is because the only stage that we can really attack is the adult as far as insecticidal control. So we have to try to kill them before they oviposit. So prevention is very important. Your threshold in peppers is almost zero, or basically it is zero. If you see pepper weevil in the field, you've got a severe problem. Pepper weevil have become a much more common problem for us in the last 3 years. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. We had some severe problems throughout South Georgia in the fall crop, very late fall crop, extremely high populations, as high as I've ever seen anywhere. And we identified the problem. One of the problems then was the resistance to pyrethroid insecticides. Almost everything that we used at that time prior to that for pepper weevil control were pyrethroids. So even where growers knew they had a problem, they were spraying pyrethroids and they were getting no control. So we identified that problem. So we've got more efficacious products that we're using against them now. The other problem that we've seen in the last 2 years is that we're obviously overwintering populations in South Georgia. If you look back 10 years ago, we rarely had problems with pepper weevil. And it's because it's not that it gets cold enough to kill the weevil here, it gets cold enough to kill the host plants, and then they starve during the winter. And we go to very low, if not zero population, so we just didn't have high populations. So it's very easy to move the pepper weevil around. It's very difficult to control it, so that's one of the things we're really working with, encouraging all of our growers, is trying to practice good cultural practices so that you don't overwinter weevils. We try to get rid of the pods. Jalapeno pods cause us a real problem because they're much more stable in the environment than a bell pepper pod. If you go out in January and look at pepper fields, you will not find pods in a bell pepper field, but you can still find pods in a jalapeno field, and that pod provides food for the weevil. They're not reproducing in those pods that are off the plant, but it's a food source and allows them to overwinter and survive until the spring crop. And then we've got to hit them with insecticides very aggressively in order to prevent infestation in those crops. So this is it's not a new pest for us, but it's a much more consistent pest than we've had in the past.